somebody was listening. I wrote back right away. I said, I'm going. I'm really good with Band-Aids. I can sew buttons. I'm not afraid of a little pus and blood. Take me. So in November last year, I went into a very remote area of the Peruvian Amazon. And I was a one-woman production team. I strapped all my gear around my neck. And when I wasn't actually helping the doctors with translation or other such duties, I was trying to film. And this next piece is what came of that. If I could have the video, please. So we call this guerrilla-style documentary filmmaking. It's very rudimentary, very basic, just me and all my gear. This I shot myself. Yes, it's one of these. Make it look like I don't actually know somebody's filming me. But it was really to give something back to that nonprofit organization. It began really as me going in, helping medical practitioners, helping give back to those communities that were in need. Now, the villages that we go in, we don't go in randomly. There's actually a very selective process, and the process is they choose this organization. They write in a letter and say, we want you to come. We want you to help our village. And Patty Webster, who you'll see shortly in the video, the president of this organization, is an absolutely determined, amazing woman. She runs this organization with close to nothing. She doesn't get the glory of televisions. She doesn't get huge grants. She doesn't have huge funding. They are a team of 2 in Iquitos in Peru. And then they have board members here in the United States, volunteers bringing in funding. And then volunteer doctors join Amazon Promise and go to these remote locations for several weeks at a time and help the people that they can. And I asked her a question. I said, how do you keep doing this? The need is so great. They ask you to come. Do you ever say no? And what do you do about everybody else? And she said, if I help one person, if I help 30 people, or if I help 300 people, at least I'm doing something. And that's how she keeps going. So I know that when I'm out in the field and I'm trying to do something and I want it to be this big and it turns out to be this big, I remember what she said. At least I'm doing something. Keep going. Keep doing it. There are people out there doing amazing work in the health field, whether it's here in the United States, whether it's South America, whether it's Africa, Asia. There are people out there working day in and day out on these projects. And sometimes we don't know about them. We don't know what they're doing because we don't hear about them. They don't have necessarily the funding to tell us about what they're doing. So I've decided to integrate this into my own work. Go with nonprofit organizations when I can, medical or not. Utilize the resources I have to make a one-woman production that I can then donate back to that organization so they can use for fundraising, so they can use to get the word out there about what they're doing. And in a way also so we all feel a little more unified, that there is an army of us out there working towards better health situations, towards giving better health care. And she's not just going in and giving this health care, she's actually training local people to be able to do that as well, so that they can be more and more independent and take care of themselves. To be dependent on outsiders is not the solution. But to capacitate the people that are there becomes part of the solution. And that every little bit really does matter. I've heard last week she's actually back in that same village that you're seeing now. And which is a tremendous, for me, accomplishment to hear because it means there is a continuation of this. Shakai, who was the chief you saw, and his family of 30 actually left another village that they felt was becoming too much like the outsiders, and he wanted to retain as much as possible his local culture. Part of that culture, too, is the use of medicinal plants, as I mentioned earlier. Now, when we aren't there, or when they don't go to the outside villages to receive medical attention, they rely on their own medicinal plants. But sometimes that isn't enough. In the case of this little girl, she had a spine in her foot. We don't know how long it was there. But well, you'll see. It takes a really brave person to keep that there. That's how big it was. And she had been walking around on it for a month, 2 months, I have no idea. But had we not been there, she probably would have been okay. But in the case of this little 9-month-old girl, She had 103.8-degree fever. She had pneumonia. She wasn't breathing properly, so she wasn't breastfeeding, so she was malnourished. And the doctors that we went in with thought that she probably had another 2 days to live if we had not arrived. And when I think of that one person we can help, when I think of the 30 or the 100 or the 300, that one person is this 9-month-old girl. That if you're out there day in and day out working, and the only result you see is that one 9-month-old girl, you have done your job. But you need to keep going out there and doing it. And that for me is inspiration. It doesn't feel doom and gloom. It doesn't feel like it's too much. It's something that actually makes me want to push further, want to do more, want to help others, want to contribute and be part of a team. If Patty can be out there, so can I. This is part of a ritualistic face painting. The person you saw was a shaman. He actually wouldn't tell me what he drew on my face. You just start laughing when I asked him. So, the village of Wararai, and this village as well, we also worked with other health issues, and one of them was HIV and AIDS education. The more remote villages, it's not something you talk about, so we can't even touch the subject. But in a village where there were more people, we were able to, and that's also part of their educational program, is not just go in and put a Band-Aid on something, but educate for preventative purposes. Now, I'm sure that here in the United States, situations like this exist. I haven't yet gone out there and done a film on this, as health really has crept back into my life in a natural way. And I hope to continue to be able to do these kinds of projects, not just with this organization, but with others. In January next year, I will actually be joining a woman named Amy Greason. She has an organization called Healing Seekers. She was a pharmacist for over 2 decades, and she wanted to know where her little white pills came from. So she decided to look at where